Hello. For art today, you are going to need your sketchbook and your pencil and a thin black marker. If you can't find a thin black marker, just the thinnest black marker or crayon or colored pencil that you can find will work. If you can't find a marker, a pen will also work. Black is preferred, but if that is not a color that you have, you can find another color that is dark. Today we are going to be drawing a Zentangle. You might be asking yourself, what is a Zentangle? Well, a Zentangle is a relaxing way to create a structured pattern. In Zentangling, we start with a very simple pattern and then build on it to create a more complex pattern. The thing that really makes Zentangles stand out is their contrast. Contrast is when you have opposite elements like light versus dark, rough versus smooth, or large versus small. We will be using the contrast between light and dark in our Zentangles today. Notice in these Zentangle examples, the areas that are dark, that are contrasted against that white, are the spaces that stand out the most. We will be trying to add some of that to each of our Zentangles today. We are going to add a theme to our Zentangle. Next week starts fall, so we are going to be using pumpkins and Zentangling inside those pumpkins. We will start with a simple pumpkin and then break that into smaller pieces to add our Zentangles. To start, we are going to start with an oval in the middle of our paper. Then I'm going to add a stem. Where my stem meets my oval, I'm going to draw a line coming out and around on both sides. I'm going to do that a second time. This kind of exaggerates the size of my pumpkin, but it gives me good space to draw inside. You could use your Zentangle like this and just use the sections of your pumpkin, but you can also break your pumpkin up into smaller pieces too, so that your patterns don't have to be as large. I'm going to break up that center piece into smaller pieces to make it a little bit more manageable. I'm going to start with a very simple pattern, just a checkerboard. So I'm going to have horizontal and vertical lines that cross each other to make squares. Once I have my checkerboard drawing done, then I'm going to think about where can I add in that black or that dark color to create that contrast between black and white. I'm going to start by adding black dots into the center of every other square. So I'm going to color in those black spots. If you take your time, you'll be able to color things in well and really get a solid black and not have white showing inside of your black coloring, and that really makes a difference. Now that I have my dots done, I'm looking at my pattern. I do have contrast, but now I'm going to add even more. I'm going to go into those little squares that I left behind and draw stripes. So just repeated lines close together that are going to give the illusion of that darkness, and that's going to add to that contrast. So this very simple pattern that I started with, this checkerboard pattern, now has a lot of contrast. It has a lot of difference between black and white, and it's a lot more interesting to look at than if I had just left it that regular checkerboard pattern. Now that I have my first section done, I'm going to go on to the next section. In the next section, I am just going to work with black ovals, and I'm going to draw the shape and not color it in, but I'm going to repeat that line so that it is thicker. So I'm starting to build that contrast, creating that dark space versus the white space. I can draw my pieces against the edge of my lines that I drew also. It gives a little bit of illusion of depth so that it makes it look like it's going off the edge. And then now that I have my ovals drawn, I'm going to go back to that idea of stripes, and I'm going to add lines through the background of that space. Again, just to get rid of that empty white space, add some contrast so that it is more appealing to look at. I've created a handout that has examples of different Zentangle patterns that you can look at and use for your pumpkin, but you can also do a Google image search for Zentangle patterns, and you'll find a lot of patterns online, and some that will even walk you through step by step how to draw the pattern. Once you have filled your pumpkin in, you may turn this in on Artsonia to your art teacher. And if you have any questions about this assignment or what you are supposed to do, please reach out through email and we will get back to you.